there is a new blog post out today on stampinpiece.com, and it is for the Facebook Live we did last Wednesday when we made a bunch of masculine cards. So you'll want to check that out. All of the measurements are there. There are also pictures of the one sheet wonders we used that night. So that's on stampinpiece.com today. I also said that last week that I would show you the bridal shower invitation I made for Andrea's bridal shower I'm hosting next month. I'm going to flip my camera so you can see it correctly. But these went out in the mail. Okay, so I used flowing flowers, and the color is, what I did was I used a sponge dauber on the stamp to put the ink on the stamp. And I used Blushing Bride and then some Calypso Coral in the center to give the flowers some more dimension. And then I did the flowers in, or the leaves in Soft Succulent and just a little bit in Evening Evergreen in the corners. And the sentiment is from Forever Fern, which we've also been incorporating. The leaves are from Forever Fern also. And then I just did this on my computer and printed it out. But I love the way it turned out. Andrea did not see it before I sent them out. And so, of course, I put one in the mail to her too, and she was thrilled. She texted me right away how awesome it was. So it's been really fun to use my creativity and my Stampin' Up! Supplies to do such personal things for Andrea as we prepare for the wedding. If you were not with me on Monday, we focused on the For the Record stamp set. This is in the annual in the January-June mini catalog, and these are the cards we made. We did some heat embossing with clear embossing powder on black, and then we also made this fun fold card. So those will be going out in the mail to two lucky winners. And that will be on the blog. I'm still a couple blogs behind for the Facebook Live, so I appreciate your patience. All right, who is ready to do some creating? Tonight I'm focusing on a brand new bundle, Ranunculus Romance. I'm not sure I'm saying that correctly. And it has a wonderful die set to go with it. So we will be using this bundle this evening. And I'm also pulling in the stitched rectangle dies. These are a great staple in my craft room. I use them a lot, just a little something extra to give some more dimension to our cards and more interest to our cards. So I'm going to flip my camera around right now. And while I'm doing that, would you be so kind as to share this live video and invite others to join us this evening? Okay, so here's what we're using. This is in the January-June mini catalog. The stitched rectangle dies you'll find in the annual catalog. Today, I know you probably all do lots of cutting of your cardstock, but I'm not sure everybody knows this particular tip. When I cut my cardstock for card bases, I always cut two at the same time. And I actually do my scoring first and my cutting second. That way I'm only scoring once and cutting once rather than cut once and score two different pieces. So today I'm going to start with card bases that are 4 1/4 by 11 inches. So I want to score the opposite direction. I'll turn my cardstock and cut then at 4 1/4. So that's just my quick little tip that I use. It helps me out. Typically when I make one card, I'm often making 2 or more. And if I'm not, I just tuck this into the cardstock packet. And if I have a card base ready to go, I always put it at the back of the package. That way when I pull it out, if I'm going to use this as a card base, I look back here first, okay? Just something to help me be more efficient and more organized. All right. So I'm going to use this stamp. I don't need that just yet. And I'm going to stamp this 3 times on white. Okay. And I'm then going to color the image with some Stampin Blends that I've pulled out. So typically when we are coloring with Stampin Blends, we use Memento ink. That's the recommended ink when using alcohol markers. The stamp is small, but there is a lot of detail in there. I'm wondering if I actually want something lighter. I think I will stamp lighter. Just because I want it to be a softer look, not so harsh with the black. And for my flowers, and you can see this is very small. The other thing is when I'm coloring and then die cutting, I prefer to stamp, color, then die cut last. To me, it's just easier to hold on to a larger piece of cardstock while I'm coloring rather than die cut it first and not have as much room to hold it. So I'm using my Petal Pink Stampin Blends. We have Stampin Blends in most of our colors, but not all. And they are $9 a pair because you get a light shade and a dark shade with each color. So it's $9 for 2. These are in the annual catalog. Stampin' Blends have become my favorite coloring tool. This one right there. And you don't have to be super precise when you do this. It looks small and tedious for coloring, but it's actually quite easy to do. I might want to add just a little bit darker in there. So I've got the pale papaya, dark pale papaya. And I like that a little bit better than just using the dark petal pink in the centers. And then I've pulled out mint macaron for the stem and leaves. And again, the stem is really narrow, but I'm just kind of going over it like that. It's okay if it's not exact. Oops, I missed a few buds there. To go back and fill those in. And then with the leaves, I'll add some of the dark shade and then fill in with the lighter shade. Does anybody have the Ranunculus Romance stamp set? I wasn't sure I was going to get it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a romantic kind of mood with Andrea and John's wedding coming up in a few months. It has really been fun. Kind of helping and assisting as they need me with the planning, and then of course stamping to save the dates and all kinds of things like that. Wedding invitations. I've even made some decorations. I was using, or am using, the February paper pumpkin kit to make some decorations for the bridal shower. And I have kind of a big project going in my living room, using the new, what's it called? Celebrate Today, I believe is the name of it. The new Celebrate Today kit in the online kits collection. It's a wood frame, maybe it's plastic, I can't remember, with a magnetic board, and you can, it's got all different, a bunch of different DSPs, cards, things to make and hang, but I'm actually using it as, using some for a collage wall. And I thought, I wasn't sure what pictures I was going to put in there, and I thought, well, with the shower coming up next month, I will put pictures of Andrea and John in there and on that collage wall for the bridal shower. And then after that, I'll probably do some family things, and Emily's got graduation, so yeah, I'm trying to work but do those fun projects too. Which also means I'm staying up late, plus trying to watch the Olympics. My gosh, so much happening. Ooh, I even kind of like the flowers white, but I am going to fill them in with petal pink. Of course, when you're doing this, you can use any of our fabulous colors. I know not everybody is into pinks. But one thing about this stamp set is just really kind of, what's the word I want to use? Dainty, I'll say. So now I'm going to die cut each of these, and we have a die in our set to coordinate with these pieces, or with the stamped image. All of the dies in this bundle fit in our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I know a lot of times people will ask that or wonder when they're purchasing die sets. And I believe, if I remember correctly, in the catalog, they now have a little icon and it tells you if it fits in the mini, which I really like. Oops, did you see what I did wrong there? I didn't have my bottom cutting plate down. It won't work very well without that. And one more left to cut, and then we're going to put together a gorgeous card with these. And I think you're really going to like the layout of this card. It's one that's really easy to replicate, and it's a fun way to use those stitched rectangle dies. So I have my petal pink card base, and I'm going to make a horizontal card. I have some DSP from the, I have to look at the name, it's one of those mega packs from last year that carried over into our annual catalog. In Good Taste. In Good Taste is the name of that, but I kind of like that. I may trim this down, and I have used one of the smallest stitched rectangle dies to cut out the 3 rectangles. And this is actually the back of the same designer series paper here. So the first thing, before I decide, I'm thinking I want to cut this down and leave more of that petal pink showing. But before I cut that down, I'm actually going to adhere these to my rectangles. These will not be a perfect fit on the rectangles, but I planned it that way. I wanted them to hang off of each of those rectangles a little bit. And you've heard me say in design that it's pleasing to the more pleasing to the eye when we work in odd numbers. So that's why I'm working with 3 as opposed to 2 or 4. And what I'm going to do is I want them on here just like this. Now, what do you think? Do you think, should I leave the DSP that size, or do you think it should be cut down? Now that I have the flowers on there, I like it better, that size. Any opinion? It would be something like this. I don't know. Now I think I like it that way. I have a piece of basic white cardstock measuring 5 1/4 by 4 inches for the inside. I think I'll stick with the 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Didn't get a response from anybody, so I'm assuming you were thinking the same. Leave it that size. And then I'll just add these. I'm going to actually lay the center one first, and I'm going to pull in, pull in this. So that's 5 1/4, so half of that would be, let's see, 2 1/2, 2 5/8. So I just know I have to be right about in this area. So I kind of use that ruler as a guide. And you can decide if you want them spaced further apart or a little closer together. So if I've got my center one in place, it seems a little bit easier to space out the other two. Let's see how I did. I usually go this way. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And we have some great choices of sentiments here. Of course, you could choose a sentiment from any set at all. Any thoughts on that? Something else you can do is actually, oftentimes we talk about no naked envelopes. Well, we can apply that thought to the inside of our card as well. So you could do a little stamping and coloring on the inside of the card. Jenny says, go with Just For You. I think that's a good choice, Jenny. And I'm actually going to, let's see, what color should I stamp it in? Let's stamp in the smoky slate. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like that. And I think I would like to punch that with the double oval punch, but I really just want to use the small plain oval because the flowers are small and the rectangles are small. I'm not going to use the larger oval to mat that, just because I don't want it to take over. And I think what I'll do is kind of tuck it under just like that, maybe. What do you think? Oh, Doris and Jenny agreed. Go with the Just For You. I think this is really pretty. Yeah, I think I like it where I had it first. Maybe even tuck that stem under a little bit. Thoughts? Any thoughts on that? Does it need anything else? Here's something we can do. You know that a little wink of Stella is always fun. We can quickly add a little wink of Stella to these flowers and buds. You don't even have to color the whole flower, just dab a little on each of them. Just adds a little bit of shimmer. I'm not even sure how well you can see that on the camera, but I can see it here. Just a tiny bit of shimmer. And it's not too much. It doesn't take away from the elegance. Jenny, Wink of Stella is, it's called Wink of Stella Glitter Brush. And it sells for $8 in the annual catalog. And it has, let me see, it's clear. So you give it a little squeeze. It kind of works like an aqua painter, but you paint it on and just adds a little shimmer. Another thing you can do with it is pick up some of your ink and then paint with it like you would an aqua painter, and you get the mix of the color and the shimmer together. Okay, one of my favorite things, and I really don't think of it as a marker so much, doing that technique when I combine it with some ink. Yes, I would think of it more as a marker or a paintbrush, but really I think of it as an embellishment, just because Yes, bling without the mess. And it's so little bling. It's just very, very subtle. So I really like that it's got that subtleness to it. Okay. Now think about, I'm going to go on and we're going to make another card, hopefully two. But think about any embellishment you might add to this. Okay. So I'm going to set this right here for now, and we're moving on. And this time I'm going to use this stamp. And again, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I've got this piece of white cardstock, and I actually want to stamp this right in the center. This measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Again, if I want to trim it down later, I can. I'm going to grab a scrap here. I'm going to, again, let's see how that does. Okay, you get a lot of black there. So I'm thinking I'm going to stamp off and then stamp onto my cardstock just to get a lighter shade of the black so it's not quite so harsh for this particular card. And just trying to center it there. And then I'm going to do the same thing, do some coloring. I'm going to start with some black, or dark, I don't know why I said black, some dark pale papaya in here. And then I'll use some petal pink. While the Stampin' Blends come in 2 shades, it's certainly okay to, I think I'm going to put even some more pale papaya in there. It's certainly okay to blend using more than one color. You don't have to stick to just those 2 shades. Lots of times I see people blending ones I wouldn't even think of putting together. So don't be shy about that. You can always try the blending on a piece of scrap paper or grid paper or something like that, especially if you're blending multiple colors. I'm not real good with blending multiple colors, I'll tell you that. In my opinion, the petal pink and the pale papaya are easy because they're all in the same shade. All right. And then I'm going to do the stems and leaves quickly here with mint macaron. And when I do this, especially on these narrow, small images, I'm barely touching the marker to the cardstock. So in other words, if I'm pressing hard like I would a crayon or something, this is how it would look. But I'm going with a really light touch, and that helps me get almost like a paintbrush stroke. And that helps me keep it a little narrower. On this next card, I'll put some green up here, actually. On this next card, I am going to use a stitched rectangle die, but I'm going to use it in a little bit different way. Now I could use the matching die to cut this out, which would look beautiful, right? But I'm going to do something different. I'm going to use one of these stitched rectangle dies. Now I could cut the whole thing out and pop it up. I didn't get that quite centered top to bottom, but I actually think, I can't decide if I want the whole thing or just want to spotlight it. I am going to trim this down a little bit, mainly because I feel like it's kind of top heavy. So I'm going to make it 5 inches by 3 3/4. So I'm going to take a little off each of those sides. Let me double check it. 5 by 3 3/4. So if you go with a smaller rectangle, this might be something where you do some spotlighting, okay? Just cutting out part of it. So when you lift that centerpiece up, we'd still have the white background and that showing. Get what I'm saying? Or we can cut out the whole thing like that and pop it up. Any thoughts? Would you do, I don't think I want to do that little one. Would you do small or large? So on the small one, it's going to hang off the rectangle and we're going to pop it up. Dora says go for the whole one. Okay. I might change my mind on the third card then, because I want to show you what I mean by the spotlighting. Now this I do want to be centered, and I don't want it to be moving around. I don't want it to be crooked because I'm using the whole piece for my card. So I want to make sure that this is on here straight. So I'm just going to use some washi tape. I'm just going to use teeny tiny little bits. Looks pretty well centered, I think. It's so tiny I can't get it off my finger. Make sure it's still straight. Put that other piece on. Oh, shoot, got a little ink or something on there. Not sure how I smudged that, but I did. Maybe it's on my finger. Okay, so now I'm ready to put this onto my card base. Again, I'm using the Petal Pink, and this part I'm going to lay down flat. Actually, I'm going to add a piece of mint macaron behind that. I think that would look really pretty. So for this, I just want a small border around the white. So I'm going to cut this 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. Yes. Does anybody have the stitched rectangle dies? They are so fun to work with. I love them. I also like to use them in scrapbooking. So I'll add this to my card front, and then that center flower piece I will pop up with dimensionals. Jenny, I like that answer. Not yet. Yet being the operative word. They really are awesome. Oops. Well. So this is a simple yet fun way to just add a little interest and dimension to your card. Now, if you think it needs some color, there are things we can do, right? We have this ribbon. It can go at the top or the bottom. Oh, here's an idea. Oh, I should have thought of this before I put it together, but I think it's going to be just fine. Just like this. Look at this. You can tell I didn't think about my about ribbons or embellishments before. I just had the basic card layout, but didn't go so far as to choose ribbons or embellishments. But look at how neat this is going to look when I put this on here. I'm going to actually put a little bit of adhesive here so the ribbon stays in place when I get it where I want. Now you could trim off the ends, but I'm just going to lift up the sides and put some adhesive there. That's one of the reasons I don't always press hard with the adhesive the first time around, in case I want to move something. Ooh, love it. But I still think it needs a bow there. And Dora says it needs some jewels. Ooh, I can make that happen. I really just want a small bow, which can be tricky when you're using something a 1/2 inch wide, but I think this will work really well. Thank you all for joining me tonight. It's always a pleasure to come on and share with you. What do you think? It's just really, yes, Elizabeth, exactly. It's clean and elegant, simple and elegant, okay? Just, you know, you don't always need a whole lot to make a beautiful card, do you? This ribbon is, I believe it's part of a ribbon pack in the annual catalog, but it's a mint macaron gingham, and it is, I believe it's a 3-pack of ribbon, but you'll want to check the annual catalog for that. Would you like to see one more card? If you'd like to see one more, I'm willing to stay on and show you one more. Okay, I think they're beautiful. Aren't they gorgeous? And again, they're not, none of them are fussy. They were not difficult to make. The most time consuming part of it was that little bit of coloring, right? Okay, and people are saying yes, they would like to see more. So I'm going to switch up and not use Petal Pink this time. This time I'm going to use Blushing Bride for my card base. And I'm actually going to use some of this wonderful, Simply Marvelous DSP, okay? And I'm going to be using this side of it. It's just a little bit softer. And we're going to start out using this set of 2 dies from the same die collection. And I'm going to run this through. Now, if you'll look at the stamp set, you'll see that there is not a stamp that this die matches. Okay, this is going to be a die cut flower. I'm going to set these out of the way for now so I don't damage them in any way. And using this, oops, now I moved that, and just got to turn this till I can fit that. Come on, Mary, keep it turning. Nope, thought I had it. This is what happens when I'm talking. Okay, so I've got these nested together, and I'll cut them out at the same time. So, oh, where's my, I can't think of where I put my die brush. Oh, here it is. Now this just, I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to do this because it lifted right out. I'm not. I don't think this is going to work this time. There we go. Oh, they punch out really well though. Look at that. Just bend them and flick them a little bit. That's the first time I used that die, and boy, was it, did it make good impressions. And cut out all these little pieces. Awesome. Now, if you pick up your die and the paper is still in here, then what you would do is lay it on the sponge that comes with the die brush and just go back and forth, and that helps get out all those negative pieces. But to be 100% honest, I hardly ever use that die brush anymore because the manufacturer of our dies now, I think the dies cut that much better, that much cleaner. So I almost never have to do that. So this is what I have, okay? Now, if I want to back this more, does anybody know how I do that? Anybody? Right here. Okay, so I can put it on a piece of cardstock, die cut a piece of cardstock to fit there, or I could use another piece of the designer series paper and do that. So it gives it a different, totally different look, different kind of dimension. So you help me. For the solid piece, should it be cut from the Blushing Bride cardstock, or should I cut from the DSP? Cardstock or DSP? And while you're deciding that, I'm going to cut a couple of, die cut a couple of the leaves from mint macaron cardstock. Doris, you must have fast fingers, or everybody else is just sitting back to see who else is going to answer first. We'll give that DSP a try. So this is the leaf I'm using, again from the same die set. Oh, we've got one of each, DSP and... Oh, Kathy, thanks for looking up Flowers for Every Season. Yes, that was one that was in a past catalog and carried over. Now look how pretty this is. And what I want to show you about this leaf, it's got all these cutting marks in here, but it just cuts the lines, the veins, we'll say, but it doesn't actually cut out pieces, okay? It just cuts the veins, which I think is pretty cool. And I'm going to cut another. Isn't the leaf beautiful? Picture this with fall colors, right? Gorgeous. Picture with spring colors. Spring's not that far away. What, 4 or 5 weeks? About 5 weeks, I guess. But it's just, it's pretty, it's delicate. And I think you could do so much with it. Picture a whole bunch of these together in the shape of a wreath. Isn't that cool? Okay, what did we decide? I don't even know. I think DSP, we'll go with the DSP for now. And I'm just going to cut a portion of this so it fits in my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Now my thought is, because we are using DSP for both layers, I don't think it's 100% necessary to match up the two shapes, because I think that just adds, excuse me, I think that just adds to the interest of it. Rather than matching it up perfectly, I'll keep turning until we get the match. Oh, almost. There. So it looks like that, or we can just offset them a little bit, and it gives it even more dimension, which is what I like. And the other thing, when I adhere this, I'm not going to put adhesive over the whole area. I'm just going to dab it in a few places towards the center, because I think it looks really pretty when this top layer kind of lifts off that solid piece. See what I mean about the top layer lifting off the solid piece? So let's put this on a card base. I'm thinking something like this with a sentiment. I'm going to cut this down more though. This is one of those ones I printed, and I decided to, after I cut all these for the bridal shower invitations, I decided I wanted the print to be a little larger, but that's all right. Because of the quality of our white cardstock, I am able to use it without that print showing through, which I absolutely love. And I'm going to put, so this was 4.5, 3 1/4. I'm going to, oh, perfect. I'm going to make a small border of the mint macaron. So this will be 4 5/8 by 3 3/8. And as always, when I add this video replay and photos to my blog within the next week, I will have all of the cutting dimensions for all of the cards. Even, do you notice too, as we were creating these 3 different cards, when we change up the mat sizes, the border sizes, it really creates a very different look for us. I'm going to put some mini dimensionals just right in the center. Again, I like to have that lifting up off the card front. I like to do the same for the leaves, so I'm putting, really I think I'm just going to put 1 mini dimensional on each of the leaves. Ooh, look at how gorgeous that is. And simple, right? It didn't take much at all to make this so pretty. You could even cut the leaves, each portion of the leaf apart and tuck those in if you want smaller leaves for some reason. Now we need a sentiment here. I think we should, where is it? I think we should use this one. Thank you for sharing your heart. And I should have done what? Stamped it before I adhered, right? But I'm going for it. Or we could use, ooh. Oh, look at this. This will fit. So let's stamp. I wonder if we stamp with, I would say either gray or the mint macaron onto some Blushing Bright cardstock. Let's see how that is. So there's the one with the mint macaron. And then let's also stamp, let me clean this, and we'll stamp with, we might actually want to use, if we do gray, we might actually want to do basic gray. This is Smoky Slate. Ooh, that's nice and soft though. What do you think? Mint macaron or the Smoky Slate? Oh, Jean, you're going to a 3-day craft weekend. I love going to those. How wonderful. So exciting. Vicky says go with the mint macaron. Whoops. I will do that, Vicky. Actually, Vicky is one of my customers who has attended my Creative Escape weekends. And just so much fun to have her there. And she brought lots of family and friends with her the last time. All right, what do you think? Yeah, I like that. So often we want to stamp our sentiments on white, and I think changing it up now and then and stamping on a different color cardstock, stamping your sentiment on a different color cardstock can really be beautiful too. So, all right. Now I remember that Doris said we could use some bling on this, and I am looking for something in particular. Now these are actually the 2021 to 2022 in color gems. So the green in here is actually soft succulent, but I think it goes well. So let's use that for this card. Whew, my tabletop is a mess. I'm glad you can't see the whole thing, but that's what happens with Facebook Lives, right? I'll do this one here, and then a couple of these at the top, like that. All right. Oh, maybe I want this one below the ribbon. By the way, I think I saw Vicki Parker on here. I saw a post of hers just before I went live that she had entered some of her cards in the Florida State Fair and got some ribbons. One was an honorable mention for a Valentine card she cased from me. And I forget what the other one was. I know I saw one of your other cards, Vicki, had a ribbon as well, it looked like. So that's exciting. And I can also add some here as well. I don't want to take away from this though. Maybe I don't want one on there. And I don't think I want one on here either. I think I just like on that one. All right, what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not sure if I've got any male viewers tonight. What do you think? I absolutely love all of them. So here's some different ways to use the Ranunculus Romance stamp set with the die set. I need to put this on one of my magnet boards. Okay. And I love that not only do we get dies that match some of our stamped images, but we also get some that are just fun coordinates. Even this one here. This one is another fun coordinating one. It doesn't have, like the leaf and the big flower, it doesn't have a stamped image to go with it, but can you picture using that, combining it with the stamps? Here's another one. You could just die cut this and it sort of acts like a silhouette shape. It too is just one of those coordinating pieces, one of those coordinating dies, not a match. So to me, I love that Stampin' Up! Has given us lots of options by including dies that match the stamped images directly, and then some that are just beautiful coordinates to just help us add variety and more creative touches to our handmade cards. All right, everybody, would somebody like to win this card? If you would, how about if you just write, how about sharing? Thank you for sharing your heart. The name of the stamp set bundle is Ranunculus Romance. We also use the stitched rectangle dies tonight, which are a lot of fun. but let's use the word sharing that's in this sentiment. And it's just a nice thing to do with all of you, the sharing. And I appreciate those of you who share with me as well. Why did I use the circle? Oh, because I see what you're saying, Jean. If I did not do this, it would just cut out the pieces, the individual pieces. So you would have like almost like a stencil in the paper. Let me show you what I mean. That's a good question, Jean. Was that piece actually necessary? This is what happens without it. And I guess it depends on how you want to use it. So this is what would happen without that open floral shape, Jean. It would just be this. So to get it, the whole flower actually cut out with all of the negative space showing, that's why you use these two together. Does that make sense? You could do it in two separate steps also, but it's just as easy to do it in one step. Okay? And that is a good question though, Jean, because you have seen me use some of our decorative masks and some sponging or blending brush with it. When I say decorative masks, this is what I mean. We made some cards a couple weeks ago using this. You could actually use this as a decorative mask as well, meaning I could do something like this. Oh. So I could use my blending brush. I've got a piece of white cardstock. I could use this as my decorative mask. Sort of, when I say using a decorative mask, it's almost like using a stencil. Okay. So this would be another, I'm glad you asked that question, Jean. This would be another way to use that die, make a different kind of flower. And then if you wanted, you could, this would be pretty pink on pink too. And then you could just, you got to keep turning till you can match it up. But you get the idea that you would, here, maybe it's this way. There we go. Then you could cut this out and use this flower on something else. So in other words, let me trim it so it fits through the mini machine here. I'll just do it real fast. So that was a great question, Jean, and look what it leads to. Just another way to use our dies. This is what I love about being live with you, being able to answer your questions. So there you go. There's another flower, just like that. Okay, so also pretty, right? So if you would like to, as I was saying, like to win this card tonight, just type the word sharing in the comments and I will get this off to one lucky winner. Thank you once again for joining me on this Wednesday evening. I look forward to seeing you on Friday at 2 p.m. Friday at 2 p.m. And these are the other cards we made. Again, all of it with the Ranunculus Romance bundle. All right, everybody, good night, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.